Hi, it's Sue. Thanks for joining me for today's Bible reading for April 13th, and I'm reading 1 Kings 3 through 5. First one. Solomon made an alliance with Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and took Pharaoh's daughter and brought her into David's city until he had finished building his own house, Yahweh's house, and the wall around Jerusalem. However, the people sacrificed in the high places because there was not yet a house built for Yahweh's name. Solomon loved Yahweh, walking in the statutes of David his father, except that he sacrificed and burned incense in the high places. The king went to Gibeon to sacrifice there, for that was the great high place. Solomon offered 1,000 burnt offerings on that altar. In Gibeon, Yahweh appeared to Solomon in a dream by night, and God said, "Ask for what I should give you." Solomon said, You have shown to your servant David, my father, great loving kindness, because he walked before you in truth, in righteousness, and in uprightness of heart with you. You have kept for him this great loving kindness, that you have given him a son to sit on his throne, as it is today. Now, Yahweh my God, you have made your servant king instead of David my father. I am just a little child. I don't know how to go out or come in. Your servant is among your people which you have chosen, a great people that can't be numbered or counted for multitude. Give your servant therefore an understanding heart to judge your people, that I may discern between good and evil. For who is able to judge this great people of yours? This request pleased the Lord, that Solomon had asked this thing. God said to him, Because you have asked this thing, and not asked for yourself long life, nor have you asked for riches for yourself, nor have you asked for the life of your enemies, but have asked for yourself understanding to discern justice, behold, I have done according to your word. Behold, I have given you wise. Excuse me one sec. I'll make a note. Okay. So he says, Behold, I have given you a wise and understanding heart, so that there has been no one like you before you and after you, none will arise like you. I have also given you that which you have not asked, both riches and honor, so that there will not be any among the kings like you for all your days. If you will walk in my ways to keep my statutes and my commandments as your father David walked, then I will lengthen your days. Solomon awoke, and behold, it was a dream. Then he came to Jerusalem and stood before the ark of Yahweh's covenant, and offered up burnt offerings, peace offerings, and made a feast for all his servants. Then 2 women who were prostitutes came to the king and stood before him. The one woman said, "O my lord, I and this woman dwell in one house. I delivered a child with her in the house. The 3rd day after I delivered, this woman delivered also. We were together. There was no stranger with us in the house, just us 2 in the house. This woman's excuse me. This woman's child died in the night because she lay on it. She arose at midnight and took my son from beside me, while your servant slept, and laid it in her bosom, and laid her dead child in my bosom. When I rose in the morning to nurse my child, behold, it was dead. But when I had looked at it in the morning, behold, it was not my son whom I bore. The other woman said, No, but the living one is my son, and the dead one is your son. The first one said, No, but the dead one is your son, and the living one is my son. Thus I spoke before the king. Then the king said, One says, This is my son who lives, and your son is the dead. And the other says, No, but your son is the dead one, and my son is the living one. The king said, Get me a sword. So they brought a sword before the king. The king said, Divide the living child in 2, and give half to the one and half to the other. Then the woman whose the living child was, spoke to the king, for her heart yearned over her son. And she said, Oh, my lord, give her the living child, and in no way kill him. But the other said, He shall be neither mine nor yours. Divide him. Then the king answered, Give her the living child, and definitely do not kill him. She is his mother. All Israel heard of the judgment which the king had judged, and they feared the king, for they saw that the wisdom of God was in him to do justice. King Solomon was king over all Israel. These were the princes whom he had: Azariah the son of Zadok the priest, Elihoreph and Ahijah the sons of Shisha, scribes, Jehoshaphat son of Ahilud the recorder, Benaiah the son of Jehoiada was over the army, Zadok and Abiathar were priests, Azariah the son of Nathan was over the officers, Zabud the son of Nathan was chief minister, the king's friend, Ahishar was over the household, and Adoniram the son of Abda was over the men subject to forced labor. Solomon had 12 officers over all Israel who provided food for the king and his household. Each man had to make provision for a month in the year. These are their names: Ben-Hur in the hill country of Ephraim, Ben-Decker in Machaz of Shaibim, Beth-Shemesh and Elon, Beth-Hanin, Ben-Hesed in Aruboth, Soko and all the land of Hepher belonged to him. Ben-Abinadab in all the height of Dor, he had Taphath, Solomon's daughter, as wife. Bana the son of Ahilud in Tanakh and Megiddo, and all Beth-Shin, which is beside Zarathan, beneath Jezreel, from Beth-Shean to Abel Maholath, as far as beyond Jokmeam. Ben-Geber in Ramoth-Gilead, the towns of Jair, the son of Manasseh, which are in Gilead, belong to him, and the region of Argob, which is in Bashan. 60 great cities with walls and bronze bars belong to him. Ahinadab the son of Edo in Mahanaim, Ahimaaz in Naphtali. He also took Basemath, the daughter of Solomon, as wife. Banah the son of Hushi in Asher and Beloth. Jehoshaphat the son of Paruah in Issachar. Shimei the son of Elah in Benjamin. Geber the son of Uri in the land of Gilead, the country of Sihon, king of the Amorites, and the Og, the king of Bashan. And he was the only officer who was in the land. Judah and Israel were numerous as the sand which is by the sea, in multitude, eating and drinking and making merry. Solomon ruled over all the kingdom, from the river to the land of the Philistines and to the border of Egypt. They brought tribute and served Solomon all the days of his life. Solomon's provision for one day was 30 cores of fine flour, 60 measures of meal, 10 head of fat cattle, 20 head of cattle out of the pastures, 100 sheep, besides deer and gazelles and roebucks and fattened fowl. For he had dominion over all the side of the river, from Tifsah even to Gaza, over all the kings on this side of the river, and he had peace on all sides around him. Judah and Israel lived safely, every man under his vine and under his fig tree, from Dan even to Beersheba, all the days of Solomon. Solomon had 40,000 stalls of horses for his chariots and 12,000 horsemen. Those officers provided food for King Solomon, and for all came to King Solomon's table, every man in his month. They let nothing be lacking. They also brought barley and straw for the horses and swift steeds to the place where where the officers were, each man according to his duty. God gave Solomon abundant wisdom and understanding, and very great understanding, even as the sand that is on the seashore. Solomon's wisdom excelled the wisdom of all the children of the east and all the wisdom of Egypt, for he was wiser than all men, than Ethan the Ezrahite, Heman, Calco, and Darda, the sons of Mahal, and his fame was in all the nations all around. I wonder how many people were in the earth in those days, what the population was. He spoke 3,000 proverbs, and his songs numbered 1,005. He spoke of trees, from the cedar that is in Lebanon even to the hyssop that grows out of the wall. He also spoke of animals, of birds, of creeping things, and of fish. People of all nations came to hear the wisdom of Solomon, sent by all the kings of the earth who had heard of his wisdom. I love those subjects too. The plants, all the horticulture, the cultivating of it, the animals, the insects. I love it all. Chapter 5, verse 1, last chapter for this reading. Hiram, king of Tyre, remember him? We talked about him the other day. Hiram, king of Tyre, sent his servants to Solomon, for he had heard that they had anointed him king in the place of his father, and Hiram had always loved David. Solomon sent to Hiram, saying, You know that David my father could not build a house for the name of Yahweh his God, because of the wars which were around him on every side, until Yahweh put his enemies under the soles of his feet. But now Yahweh my God has given me rest on every side. There is no enemy and no evil occurrence. Behold, I intend to build a house for the name of Yahweh my God, as Yahweh spoke to David my father, saying, Your son who I will set on your throne in your place shall build the house for my name. Now therefore command that the cedar trees be cut for me out of Lebanon. My servants will be with your servants, and I will give you wages for your servants according to all that you say. For you know that there is no one among us who knows how to cut timber like the Sidonians. When Hiram heard the words of Solomon, he rejoiced greatly. There's that great joy again. I need to underline that. And said, Blessed is Yahweh today, who has given to David a wise son to rule over this great people. Hiram sent to Solomon, saying, I have heard the message which you have sent to me, and I will do all your desire concerning timber of cedar and concerning cypress timber. My servants will bring them down from Lebanon to the sea. I will make them into rafts to go by sea to the place you specify, and will cause them to be broken up there, and you will receive them. You will accomplish my desire in giving food for my household. So Hiram gave Solomon cedar timber and cypress timber according to all his desire. Solomon gave Hiram 20,000 cores of wheat for food to his household and 20 cores of pure oil. Solomon gave this to Hiram year by year. Yahweh gave Solomon wisdom as he promised him. There was peace between Hiram and Solomon, and the two of them made a treaty together. King Solomon raised a levy out of all of Israel, and the levy was 30,000 men. He sent them to Lebanon, 10,000 a month by courses for a month. They were in Lebanon and 2 months at home, and Adoniram was over the men subject to forced labor. Solomon had 70,000 who bore burdens and 80,000 who were stonecutters in the mountains. Besides Solomon's chief officers who were over the work, 3,300 who ruled over the people who labored in the work. The king commanded, and they cut out large stones, costly stones, to lay the foundation of the house with worked stone. Solomon's builders and Hiram's builders and the Givelites cut them and prepared the timber and the stones to build the house. And that's it. That's it for today's reading. That is 1 Kings 3 through 5 from the World English Bible. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you tomorrow.